All right. Well, welcome to the latest edition of Chop It Up, which is a cross collab today with Conversations with the Crawleys. So just for those that are coming in that are used to seeing just the three fellas, and now you're seeing my beautiful wife here. My wife and I, we do Conversations with the Crawleys on YouTube. Because of the conversation today, the topic today, she wants to come on. So we said, okay, look, Conversations with the Crawleys is going to be here. But then also my fellas with Chop It Up, we're going to be here as well. So my name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is Conversations with the Crawleys. And my name is Kevin. Podcast of Chop It Up. So listen, we're about to get into it. Fellas, introduce yourselves.
Really?
What up, Quintessential?
Southside.
Southside. All right, I guess I'm going to do it. Derek, you just give me a solid on me. All right. Larry Watkins, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And that's all I got to say, because we won't take up a lot of time today. Let's roll. I keep it simple, Darian. How's that?
It's all good, brother. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. That's all for you, brother.
Nothing but love. Nothing but love. Darian Lewis, Tulsa, Oklahoma. As always, happy to be here.
All right. Definitely appreciate it. And again, we are collab, but two channels that I'm on, Conversations with the Crawley, with I do with my wife, and then Chop It Up, which I do with my brothers from other mothers. And then, of course, because tomorrow is a major holiday. I don't know if you guys recognize it, but tomorrow is a major holiday.
I wonder what's going on.
It's my birthday, so the Biden and the team haven't recognized it yet. But listen,
only your mama recognized it.
Right.
You recognize it too.
Yes, if you weren't born, I wouldn't have your name, I guess.
Exactly. You having Boba Fett's name or something.
Shut up. No, not Boba Fett. Not Boba Fett.
Mustafa from Southeast DC.
Wow. Oh, wow. Wow.
Mustafa.
Yes.
Is there stories of this that we don't know yet? Or
Not that I know of.
Don't do it. Don't do that.
Don't do it. Don't put that out there. Is that what you're saying?
Just don't even start down that road.
Appreciate it, Quintessential. All right. So, yeah. So, appreciate all of y'all coming on. All right. So, y'all know what we got to talk about. We got to talk about the pursuit of slappiness.
The pursuit of slappiness.
We got to talk about how Hancocked.
Hancock. Oh, that's even better. Oh.
We got to talk about concussion.
Oh my God.
Jeez. Wow.
The fresh prints that are on Chris Rock's face.
Yeah.
Wow. The fresh prints that are, wow.
So the slap that,
The men in
so
black handprints.
listen. So Sunday afternoon, after church, chilling, hanging out, just on the couch, scrolling through Twitter, Will Smith just smacked Chris Rock. Okay.
Not just smack.
It's the Oscars. Thinking, okay, let me go see. Thinking it was a comedy bit at first. Then saw the unedited version where Will was like, keep my wife's name out your mouth. And he said it with his chest twice.
Yes, he did.
So it wasn't a joke. Now I will say this. Let me also say this. As we're jumping into it, I will say that in my opinion, this is a huge difference from two things that really deserve more news. Mm-hmm. The first being Justice Thomas and his wife and her shenanigans as far as her tweeting back and forth. I think that should be a higher piece in the news.
Sure do.
Also, the fact that what's up, Morris? Also, the fact that the Lakers had a 23-point lead and still lost to the Pelicans. I think this is a distraction from those two things that are more important and bigger news.
Wow.
You're not wrong with the second one, though. I mean, that's put a pin in it.
They get too much news anyway.
All right. So that's what we're going to talk about. Conversations with the Crawley and Chop It Up are talking about those things today. What, fellas, I know we got a lot of stuff to talk about with that. A lot of thoughts. I know Tarsha she's been blowing me up like.
Well, see, the believer that I am, I done came from my second service.
She did.
I came home from my second service.
She went to get prophesied over and sung over, and yeah.
And I'm thinking, my husband, I come up the stairs. Okay, all right. Okay, turn to the screen. What? Hold on. You guys see this? I'm like, what do I gotta look at? I just came from heaven. What in the world is going on in the world that I gotta see before I can even get out my heels?
They
What?
just stripped you out your glory.
Just
all
the
the
glory.
glory.
Go.
Left your
I was
anointing
like,
at the door.
Is it this important? Yes. Turn around. I'm about to cast it. You're gonna see it live. You're gonna see it. I said, okay. So I'm looking like, oh, this gotta be a skit. And I'm looking at it, he's like, no, no, keep looking. And then when he went on and told him, I was like, oh wow. Oh wow. Like everybody else in the audience were doing, and they were scanning the audience.
Yep.
You didn't know what to say? Like, no, it has to be fake. Right? You just have to be like, this is not real. It's a part of a skit. This is all hype. Right? And I think any person would feel just like, what did I just see?
Yeah.
And why am I seeing it?
It was surreal. Yeah.
Fellas?
Exactly.
That's how y'all was looking at it.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
I sat there for minutes on end. I mean,
Exactly.
bro even said it for the second time for the people in the back that didn't hear it. I mean, he said it from his toes, and I'm just literally in shock the whole time. For the first time, I'm like, oh, this got to be a skit. Then when I kept watching it, then I saw the Japanese and Australian feed that was unedited.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, this is not a good look. And then he won the Oscar. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Of all the times when this happens and it's not a skit and it's real and you just put this stuff out there, now you got to turn right back around and give a speech. And when you won your first Academy Award ever, I mean, you should have at least got a nod for The Pursuit of Happiness. At least got one for that one.
Right.
Or Ali.
Yeah.
Or as
Ali.
Ashley says, concussion.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with that one, but he did a great job in concussion.
He's been doing some work.
He's been doing a good body of
putting
work.
in the work. Seriously.
Yeah.
It was there was a lot, not emotions on my part. I wasn't emotional, but I was trying to process everything.
Right.
Like what happened
Right.
with him, what happened with her.
Right.
Why in the world would you? I know that Chris Rock had to have known that she had alopecia. He had to have known.
No,
They all knew.
What I heard was that he didn't know because there was another star that has a social media account say, I called him and just asked him point blank, did you know? Oh, I didn't know.
Okay.
So I was like, okay.
I thought it was common knowledge. I mean,
I didn't even know, or at least remember, right? Because she did mention it it's been a while since she mentioned it originally.
Yeah.
right.
that she
It's
had
been a
it.
minute. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so for me, it was there was a whole lot of things going through my head because I'm like, okay, first of all, I know we're going to talk about this on Tuesday. That's a given. I didn't have to ask anybody. I already know what's going to happen.
Yep.
And so I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, what would I do if I was that situation? I probably wouldn't have slapped him. Somebody said, why did he punch him? I said, well, you probably can get arrested for a punch and maybe not for a slap, even though both are assault. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
He put his hands on somebody.
Right.
I understand him being upset. I get that. I don't condone the violence part of it. I get all that.
Right.
It was just jacked up. I like all the memes, the pictures of people showing that Denzel talked to him and Tyler Perry talked to him and all that. My question is this, and this, you know me, I'm gonna throw some questions out there. Where were y'all before this happened? That's my real question. I'm not saying that y'all haven't been there for him. I don't know. I'm not in that circle. I'm not in that realm. But was somebody there for him before it got to this? That's my question. That's really the big picture that I'm looking at. Because we've talked about this a lot within the past 2 years about us being there for the brothers, and not just brothers, but people. But you know what I mean. This is the barbershop. So that was really one of the first questions that came to my head. It's great that you're there at that point. But did he have that before then? Or did he have it and he never reached out? Not never, but didn't follow up. So those are all the questions that I have. And I don't have answers to, but I think those are interesting questions.
Right.
Well, to me, it was obvious he was triggered.
Oh, obviously.
Because it was such an overreaction. Even though Chris kind of had it coming.
Yeah.
He
overstepped. Yeah.
Yeah, he crossed the line. He crossed a pretty big line. But I want to go back to Tarsha's point. You know, there are a lot of times when people just assume everyone knows. I didn't know that she was. I thought she just did it because even the video that I saw, she never mentioned alopecia. She only talked about, I got tired of having to do all of this stuff to my hair to feel like I was going to be accepted, and if I did anything natural or if I let it grow out in its natural form, somehow it wasn't acceptable and I could lose jobs. And she said, I got tired of having that mental anguish of having to deal with that constantly.
That's a lot.
So yeah, and it's not like she's not known to do extreme things as a result of whatever she's thinking of feeling. So yeah, I didn't hear anything about alopecia until after this, But to me, it was I got a lot of opinions about the psychology behind why that happened. But yeah, it was obvious that because when you look at the video, Will snickers like
he did,
and I don't think he thought it was funny. I don't even think he was really listening. I think he was like, I'm in the front row.
Right.
It's Oscar night. They're gonna say dumb stuff.
Right.
And then you look at your wife who's like not having it.
Right.
And even Chris, and she kind of just like, come on, it was a good one, And she's like, no, it wasn't. And that's what I think he was like, oh no, I can't. This is Darian's take. I can't have her still thinking I'm not going to protect her.
Right.
I can't have the conversations that we've had in private to where she has felt like I have not been there for her. This can't go down like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, Darren, you addressed something that I've seen a lot on social media about people say, well, he laughed at the joke. I'm like, okay, well, how many of us in our life are listening to something or halfway listening to something, and then we react, wait a minute, what did they just say?
Right.
We've all done this.
Right.
So this is not abnormal. Him having that reaction, I mean, I can look past that. I can be smart enough. I can be mature enough to realize that happens to all of us. It's happened to me many a time where I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. What did you
you've been in church and the preacher has said something, you're like,
off the wall.
Wait, what?
Like, hold on. Amen. Whoa, wait a minute. Time out. What did he just say?
Is that scripture? Is that...
Wait, what book was that? Was that what?
Not a read.
Is that Psalms 2?
Right.
Psalms 1? Is there a second Psalms I don't know about? Yeah. And so we have all done that. And so for people to be so quick to say, well, he laughed at it, so you could tell he really wasn't upset. No. You got to think about, you got to be realistic. You got to think about your life. So we're so quick to judge and not look at the layers of what's happening. There's a lot to unpack here, and we can't do it within an hour, obviously.
Oh no.
But there's so much that we have to think about when we got relationships. You got the way we just act as far as human nature. You got codes that shouldn't be crossed. and you've got things that have happened in the marriage. And I tell people this: what if all of your stuff was exposed to everybody to see and to read?
Right.
And you had to hold yourself a certain way, and then on public television, it's not public, worldwide television,
Right.
somebody says something about your wife, and you know all your junk has already been laid out before. You know what? Maybe it's time for me to step in and do something. I don't care if it's worldwide stage. This is not going to happen again. And them talking about me tomorrow, I'll pay to I'll pay to fine whatever it is, the consequences later. But you know what? I'm reacting, and he did. He snapped. I don't want to go say snapped, but he reacted. It was a knee-jerk reaction.
He snapped.
Exactly. He snapped. Yeah, Morris, you're right. You said you laughed on the outside to hide my anger because my job is. We've done that before too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes we have a different laugh. Ashley knows mine. Mine is.
But that's what he did.
That's exactly what he did.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then he looked over at Jada.
Yeah. All right, baby. That's what I see. All right, let's go.
Because there's also the issue because Will and there's never been, as far as what we've seen, right, any bad blood between Will and Chris, right?
Right.
However, I think Chris, it was interesting to watch the dynamics of who reached out to Will versus who reached out to Chris. And I'm wondering if behind the scenes, maybe Chris doesn't get the respect in Black Hollywood that Will does, or doesn't have the love that Will does.
He doesn't. What's the last movie Chris has done? What was the last? What was the last Netflix special he's done? I mean, he's just not. He's going on tour with Kevin Hart. It's a real good chance Chris probably just doesn't have the clout to really pull on his own anymore. He's just not. Not that he's not funny.
No, he is. He's definitely funny.
Yeah, but he falls between, to me, in this day and age, he now falls between a Kevin Hart and a D.L. Hughley. He doesn't quite go all the way political, and yet he also is not just absolutely hysterical either.
Right.
He's Chris Rock. He does what he does, and he definitely brings your perspective, a different perspective on things. And so he wound up with the Oscars, and I think I'm gonna go for it. But the Oscars is known for trashy, horrible, bad taste jokes.
Terrible taste in jokes.
I mean, just
for decades. This is nothing new.
There's nothing new at all.
But I think looking at this whole situation, is this now the second or third time that he's punched at Jada, if you will?
Right.
And if we're honest, Jada is there more for support of her husband than as an actress up for a nomination. Jada's done, yes, she does movies. So she's an actress, right? Mm-hmm. But before the situation when there was the boycott of the Oscars because of the lack of diversity, right? You bring up Will and Jada, even though they weren't the only ones that were boycotting, okay?
Right.
And so now you bring up Jada for a movie that, can we be honest, ain't nobody really thought about G.I. Jane in a few years.
It's been a long time when that movie
and then out. You're bringing up G.I. Jane 2, and then you're in a diverse audience talking about a Black woman's hair choice or hairstyle, which I got some issues with that because you got to read the room. You also got to protect who you got to protect. Just because you made it to that level doesn't mean that gives you the authority or the power to punch down at everybody else that looks like you, that comes behind you, what have you. So I got an issue with it from that aspect. Yes, there are a lot of jokes, but how many jokes are made based upon a person's appearance?
Well, it was an easy joke, right? He tried to like he was going to the club and he has his set. And then he sees an easy target in the room, because our understanding was that this was unscripted. He went off script.
It wasn't
for his part, right? Because he was supposed to nominate someone, so they write down everything he was supposed to say. And then he's like, "Oh, I can throw you in here since you're right in the front. I'm going to add you to the mix," without even thinking about what he's doing. like it's just a regular night at the comedy club, and I'm gonna go ahead and get a little extra laugh if I can, out of his moment,
Right?
Because he wasn't the host of the Oscars, but yet the only person we're talking about is his little few minutes of his nomination.
Right. Exactly, Morris. That's the same energy that he had when he did make the jokes about the boycott in 2016, 2017, whatever. It was that same type of energy of why are they protesting?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but let me ask you this question: do you feel that Black men do not protect Black women? Because that's been a lot of in the social media when it came to this. Well, Will did this because he had to protect his wife. Well, enough Black men don't protect Black women. So that's been a lot of the talk in the last, 24 hours or so as it's been going on. In your experience, do you feel like that's a real topic of conversation?
How candid do you want me to be, Tarsha?
As candid.
It's the barbershop too.
It's the barbershop, bro.
Again, I'm putting it out there.
Let me just say, for our
put my disclaimers out there first.
Our Conversations with the Crawley audience knows that we keep it 100% real.
Mm-hmm.
Our Chop It Up audience knows that we keep it 110% real. So somewhere in there, just say what you got to say. Say it with your chest.
So my problem with that statement, Tarsha, is that why are we trying to perpetuate a stereotype that the world has put on us when we know that in a lot of cases that it's not true? I'm not going to perpetuate that. I'm not going to, because here's the thing. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. There's terrible men across this whole world that don't take care of their spouses or the women in their lives. Mm-hmm. And I will not sit back and play along with the narrative that we as African-American men notoriously do not protect the women that are in our lives. I'm not going to let that happen. So I'm not going to be part of that. So no, I don't think that had anything to do with this. I don't think that Will was sitting there going, I've got to protect my wife, my Black wife, because I'm a Black man and I don't want. No, I don't think that was in his head, because if he cares for you, loves it, that's not what I'm going to be thinking. So no, for me, I'm not playing that game. They can miss me with that. I'm not playing into that stereotype that others have put on us, and I'm not going to start embracing that and saying that that's what we do, because there's been, as old as I am, I'm almost 52 years old. I've seen more men that have protected their wives or the women in their lives than have not. So for me, that is the minority. That might be different for other people depending on where they are and the community that they're in and the environment that they're in. But for me, no. But I'm not naive enough to think that it doesn't happen. I know it happens. I get that. But it ain't just Black men.
I have a little bit of a different perspective. I don't disagree. Well, of course you do, dear.
I expect that.
It's what you do.
My brother. That's all right.
No. Because Tori, I absolutely agree with you 100%. My different perspective, though, is when it comes to the vocalization of protection in media, that is not what we've seen on a consistent basis from Black men.
That's correct.
What we've seen more is the actual putting down it through entertainment, the putting down through contrast and comparison in talk shows, and so what has been perpetuated is this underlying tension between Black men and Black women. That has been what has been talked about the most.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
And so the idea that someone publicly, just like in the hearings for Supreme Court justice. The Supreme Court hearings, when Cory Booker said what he said, man, when I tell you, folks were like falling all over themselves, because we just don't see too many examples of extreme love being shown in public manners.
You're right.
In public forums, on a consistent basis outside. Now, I've seen them, and you guys, you may agree. I've seen them very consistently in the church.
Right.
But that's it. When it comes to a public forum.
Right.
Any other time it's been Like I said, it's been either the putting down or the black woman is supporting this, this guy who's not as supportive to her, doesn't really have her back, but she's always chasing behind. This is the picture that's always painted. She's
Right.
always chasing behind him while he does whatever he does, good, bad, or indifferent. And we rarely see, or we see the situations where they like to paint the picture where she's had it. She can't take it no more. I'm out.
Angry black woman.
Right. And then she walks out, uh, um, what's the show I'm looking? Oh, Waiting to Exhale is, is the favorite reference,
Right.
when she's walking away and the car's blowing up,
Right.
folks act like they don't know nothing else about that movie except that scene.
Right. Or, the Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Right.
Mhm.
All of this,
This
right.
Christmas with the baby oil in the bathroom. I mean, yeah.
That scene was funny though.
Dude, that scene was hilarious.
That scene
That
was
was my
hilarious.
My
favorite
mom
scene.
and dad had never seen that movie.
That
They
was
watched it this
my
Christmas.
favorite
My mom was in tears. We had to stop the movie because she was hacking. She was laughing so hard. That scene was fantastic. Anyway, sorry.
But we get the point,
Yeah,
that
and Darian, that's what my first point literally talked about, that stereotype, that narrative that we see, that narrative that's been put in front of us, whether it's music, whether it's social media, whether it's entertainment.
Right.
It's that narrative that I refuse to push and to support. And that's exactly what you're saying. That's what's been portrayed. That's what's been seen. But the other part of me is this: we see a whole lot of stereotypes that's perpetuated on TV. But how many of those do society really take to heart and really believe? I mean, we see people talk about, country people, and they're all dumb and stupid and they're hicks, but people know that there's smart people down in, that live in the South and stuff like that. We there's so many out there, but how many of them stick with a group of people as hard as they stick
Right.
with African Americans? That's why I'm so adamant about that, because for some reason this one seems to stick and people think it's the truth when it's not. Now it's truth in certain situations. I get that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but guess what? It does happen, but it happens with every single ethnicity.
Right.
But for some reason it sticks to us more so than anybody else when it comes to these stereotypes. And that's what bothers me, when we as a culture, when we as a people start putting our check on that and saying, whoop, that's the truth. And I have a problem with that.
So then that comes to the other question, where we're looking at what happened between, we'll say, two men, but others saying, all right, here's two black men, rich black men, and here he goes. Will goes up and slaps him. And the Oscars, they haven't been diverse. And now that they are diverse, now we have more people that are nominated that are minorities. They should have known better. They were going to be on national TV.
See what happens when we let them in?
See,
Here's the thing, because there's been this. Oh my goodness, this was one of the worst ever moments for the Oscars.
There's been others.
I'm going to say that one of the worst moments, just pulling, when the
pull
Native American woman comes up on stage, and they actually have to hold John Wayne back from coming up and punching her because she's just asking to be treated fairly as a Native American woman. Or maybe let's talk about, I think, who was it, Hattie McDaniels, who was nominated for an Oscar, won the Oscar, but they had to make, basically they had to put her over in the corner with her agent, and that was the only way that she was going to be in to accept the award. So we can talk about ugly moments in the Oscars. Is this an ugly moment? Absolutely. Is it the most ugly moment? I would say no, it's not.
Probably not. Yeah. It's a black eye. There's an ugly moment. Yes, like you said, but it's not the ugliest though.
Yeah.
Is it the first violent one, like a violent act? Yes, it is, obviously. And that's terrible. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, there's the challenge I think with this now is the fact, because I was thinking about this, at first, this 30-second altercation has gone around the world, no one else can talk about anything else. And then I thought
millions of views.
Yeah, it wasn't just a 30-second 30-second incident.
Right.
It was everything that made Will Smith a superstar, walking up on that stage and putting his hands on everything that made Chris Rock a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
All of those years, all of that work, all of that stuff came to a head in this ugly exchange.
Mhm.
And so, the world, who views Hollywood as the ultimate in entertainment and the Oscars as the ultimate celebration of the ultimate in entertainment, now has this situation go on. And it's it is unfortunate that that incident actually overshadowed so many great things that really did happen.
Yeah.
The award that Chris was supposed to be presenting was for best documentary, which Questlove won.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
For Summer of Soul.
Yeah.
I didn't know that till much later, after all of these newsreels about Will. I'm watching it just over and over and over.
Yeah.
And finally I hear that Samuel Jackson won an Oscar for the first time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
What did he win
All
it
that
for?
body of work.
Wasn't it a Lifetime Award?
Yes.
Was it a Lifetime Achievement Award?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Samuel.
I didn't know that this was the first year that they allowed a black production company to produce the show.
Shout out to Will Packer.
Yep.
So there was a lot going on that did not need this.
Right.
To be attached to
let
it.
him in.
But the problem is, if they decide to use that, they have every right, because these are the people that should know better. Listen, if he would have waited, I'll be honest with you, if he would have waited till after the show was over, literally snatched Chris up, did whatever he was going to do with Chris after the show, and we heard about it afterwards, it would have been like, oh man, ooh, okay, and it would have been done.
Right.
It still would have looked ugly, but
Right.
that would have been done. And everybody would have been like, yeah, Chris, nah, you deserve that one. You had that one coming, brother.
Right.
But the way that it was handled is what made the whole thing just get, And
Now,
so you've got race attached to it. You've got class attached to it. You've got wealth and privilege attached. You've got all these issues attached to this 30-second situation of a man losing control.
And you've got memes that will never go away.
No.
Never go away.
They will be here for
the slap will always be. It's in fact the slap even replaced the Batman and Robin scene that's out there.
I saw that.
So
there's been so many, man.
Yeah.
I think though the thing I will give Chris Rock credit for is, I know the Bible says turn the other cheek. I give Chris Rock credit for not drop kicking Will Smith as he walked away. Because had that been me,
it was the shock factor, bro. First of all, it's a shock factor. And then after he realized it, I got millions of people looking at me right now. My career is already on the last leg.
It's better than me.
I don't need something else.
1.5 million watching me. I'm sorry. You come up and
so Kev, if you in the pulpit and you say something and some dude comes up and just literally just rock paper scissors you right across the face.
Again, I give
credit. Get that close. Hold on.
I give credit to, who was it? Pastor Doherty in Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
I give credit to him.
Right.
I don't know that I am that saved. I know how I want to operate, but if honest,
can I just bring a memory up?
I come from a father who taught me, if they hit you, hit them back and make them never want to hit you again. That's what's ingrained in me.
Again, never again. So,
may I just bring back a memory?
Go ahead.
This was back at Okmulgee.
Oh, when the guy walked up?
Yeah, no, not in the church service. This was a different situation. And the guy started getting loud. I was in this meeting, and you got up. You came behind this dude ain't finna steal on me behind this desk, sitting down. All right, this is not finna happen. I don't know what you're about to do. All I know is you getting loud.
Oh no, he probably planted his feet and had one behind the other.
Right.
He was ready.
I just remember Kevin got up very slowly.
Again,
very calmly, but he moved and oh no. If this is happening, you ain't finna catch me slipping, bro. So that's why I said he's not even gonna get that close.
Y'all should know me. That was a sarcastic question.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. Oh yeah, but I know Kev better than that. I know better than that. So,
Listen.
Yeah, man.
The South Side in me is not gonna. I'm sorry. So I give Chris credit for not responding with not meeting the violence with violence. I give him credit for that because there are some other folks that, if we're honest, and we've seen the memes going around as far as other comedians and other people, that if Will had done that, it'd have been the Source Awards Part 22.
Right. But you know what? Something else about Chris, and a lot of people forget, that's not the first situation where Chris has had someone come at him in the middle of a show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's actually told stories where just on the road, because he does get at people in the audience, you know. And this was years ago, but when he was touring, he's had a couple of people come at him in the middle of a show, and so he's learned, if nothing else, he's learned to keep his composure. Because if you watch the slap, you'll notice that Chris was kind of bracing for more, and it looked like Will was like, "Is he about to react to me?" Because he also when he turned around and started walking away, he was looking over his shoulder like, "Is Chris about to jump on me like a spider monkey?" And he should have. He should have. That's exactly what he should have done. He should have jumped on his back. That place would have howled.
They would have cut the feed. So actually, the feed that probably wouldn't. Well, it would have been caught across the world. But yeah, they cut that feed quick here in the U.S.
Yeah, man. But
they cut it quick.
So yeah, I agree. Shout out to Chris for whether realizing it or not. It was almost like he got punched in a boxing match, and that got his bell rung, and he had to wait just a second to kind of
gather his thoughts. Man.
Yeah, just let me clear up.
That's what I said. He was in shock.
He was in shock,
and then came back with a joke.
Right.
Yeah.
He had to recover. Right.
Yeah.
He had to still announce the nominees for that documentary. But I think the other question that a lot of women are saying is that, I expect my husband something about it. Yeah, I expect my husband to behalf. As men, how do you feel like the best way to protect when we're about men protecting their wives or their significant others or their family? Because Will decides to insert the character he was playing in the movie that Mr. Williams would have gone this far, and protecting his wife. But when we see the movie, he moved in a certain way where we never saw that there was, or at least portrayed in the movie, any violence. So what is your guys' take about how you would protect your significant other or children in situations like this?
You know what? I was thinking about this. Had Will, even though he didn't know he was going to win, had Will decided to hold his peace and deal with it, I'm going to deal with this afterwards. I'm going to straight get in this man's face afterwards. But then found out that he won. Had he done that, he'd have had a full 3 minutes to completely destroy that man's career forever.
Absolutely.
By just shooting straight, not even a joke, just shooting straight. Chris, below the belt, bro. I have to address this right now. That was below the belt. You yourself did a documentary about black women's hair. Why would you go here?
That was the big part for me.
And then drop the mic. That's it. You're done, dude.
Yeah.
Because the whole planet would have looked at him like, yeah.
Right.
But he didn't, he didn't. He wasted that opportunity, even though he didn't know it was coming.
Right.
I just, like I said, he was triggered. I still have other opinions I'm probably not going to share on the show.
Well, yeah, I'll jump into that, Tarsha. It's a really, really good question because we should think about those things because we never know what situation we're going to be in. Never, ever. Mm-hmm. And so, and you all have heard me say it. I said it to any of my new hire training classes when they're coming in to work for Dell. I've said it to my daughter, and I mean it 100%. I'm not going to tell you to do something that I haven't already done myself. Mm-hmm. One of my biggest pet peeves is hypocrisy. I don't tell me what to do when you haven't already done it yourself, or you don't believe that you should do it. So I've been in that situation to where somebody has said something to Amy, and it was probably the most disrespectful thing that you could say to a family member. I'm not going to put anything else out there. That's all I'm going to say. But it's probably one of the more disrespectful things that you can say to a younger person in your family. And that person showed up one day, and it was in between services. And I literally told Pastor Steve, I said, I need you to stand in the doorway because I'm about to confront somebody right now. I didn't do it when it happened. I didn't do it the same day that it happened. I did it at a time that it was going to be not just convenient, but I needed time to cool down. Because y'all have heard me say it one too many times. I'm too soft and squishy and cuddly for jail. That is not for me. And I'm not holding somebody's pocket out there in the yard. I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm called to do. I'm not here to do that. So
no toot toot, no beep beep.
No, exactly. No R. Kelly here, buddy. That's not it. And so I went up to that person, and they were in the parking lot, and they rolled down the window. I said, "Don't ever talk to my wife like that ever again." And they said some free choice words. I said, "I'm gonna say it one more time. Don't ever talk to my wife the way you did again. And this is the last time I'm going to say it. Don't ever talk to my wife like that again. Are we understood?" And then I walked away and I led worship. And that's the way it went down.
And the glory fell.
Okay.
Let your glory fill.
Well, Tasha and I were talking about this. There was an incident where, again, and to kind of answer your question first, I think you meet the offense with the same level of offense. If someone's threatening you physically, all bets are off.
You swing, it's all over.
It's a wrap.
Right.
There was an incident where at the previous church we were at, because she worked in hospitality, especially with conferences and stuff like that, people didn't recognize that she was also an ordained leader, right? And so someone kind of got a little snippy and got a little rude with her.
Right.
And she told me later on, I was like, okay. So then a little later on, because again, I ran sound. My job was to especially in some of these instances, to create atmospheres. Okay.
Right.
And so this person was getting up and they were supposed to pray and they wanted to track. And they were being kind of haughty with it. I was like, I got you. So I gave them the most prophetic, heavy driving warfare track I could find. And they did not know how to handle it. And they petered out very quickly because, and I did it on purpose because I'm like, you think you're all of this. You insult, not necessarily insult, but you're rude to my wife. Listen, I'm going to create an atmosphere you can't maintain. But then we're going to go in, we're still going to have someone else come up behind you who can maintain that and keep it going. Because I'm not going to destroy the service, but I am going to expose you for not being all that you thought you were. So,
with much power comes great responsibility.
And again, exactly, Morris. I've been known to take people into a small room. Listen, I keep saying at our church, if I'd ever need it, I'll have a laying on of hands room and a laying on of hands room.
And a wall-to-wall counseling, if you know what I mean. Wall to wall.
Because if it don't come out by the laying on of hands, it will come out by the laying on of hands.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, I back to the same question though. Man, when it comes to protecting your loved ones, it's really hard to gauge. It's like, how do you not give someone a pass, however far they go, short of obviously, murder or putting someone in a hospital.
Right.
But I agree, you meet the offense at the level of the offense. So at least that's the way it should be. Yeah. Now, my question to you, Tarsha, would be does that type of offense require immediate action, or if he decided to wait and confront later on, would that still have been considered protection as a wife?
I believe so. It's about your spouse has your back, right? And that even though in the moment we're facing it together, you're like, babe, don't worry about it. I got this. Mm-hmm. And I would rather you be more strategic about it instead of responding in a way which could hurt you, hurt us as a family, hurt his career, or do something that will cause him not to be where he needs to be as an individual. But just to know that he says he got it, my husband has it. Now, I always want to make sure I'm checked. Like, were you planning on doing it? No, I got it. Right? Because you gotta know your husband.
Yeah.
You gotta like, what kind of plan do you have? Well, I'm just gonna talk to him. Who's gonna go with you? Like, I think when you're in this together and you know that your spouse have you, you gotta know your spouse too, right?
Mm-hmm. Because she know if I ever need to, I could find something on the dark web that ain't got no attachments to me.
I'm just saying.
We already know this.
And so it's hard in moments, right, when it happens, how anyone will respond, because you don't know. He didn't know how his wife was going to respond. Was she going to be able to take that on the chin? Was he just tired because they've been in social media so much and the butt of jokes so much that she probably didn't know, because she was rolling his eyes, that he was going to go up there and slap him. She probably didn't know that,
because she hasn't said anything either.
She made only one comment on Twitter, okay. But it was just like, that's how we roll in this household,
That was the son. That was the son.
Oh, that was the son.
It sounds like that's how we do that.
That's
Jay, yeah. And he did that like immediately.
Right. He did that immediately.
And that's how we do it.
Middle fingers turn to trigger fingers real quick.
Right. But I get that we've always been calm in situation. Even, it's funny, me and Caleb had a situation where I was driving. I didn't see any signs, and I'm used to going a certain way from picking him up from school. But we got stopped by the cops.
Right.
And he pulled me over and he's like, what are you doing? You shouldn't have been coming this way. And I'm like, well, there's no sign. Like, I'm getting haughty because the cop is haughty with me. And my son stepped in. He said, Mom, he said, sir, it's all good. We're sorry. And he calmed me down and he protected me. Because he's like, Mom, you don't want to be getting messing with this cop, right? And we need to go. Right.
Especially Phoenix PD.
And so I appreciate that from him being just a teenager, knowing like, okay, we can put us in a real bad situation really quick. But for my son to say, I'm going to protect my mother. And the way I can do it is in a way that's going to be respectful, how she trained me and taught me how to do. Mm-hmm. But we're going to get out of here alive tonight. Right. And I think a lot of times we just have to understand, as we are saying we have each other's back, that the way we do it, we can do it in a way. I know it's going to happen, but I don't need my husband to be throwing hands. That doesn't make him, a wuss, or, oh, he ain't a real man. I need a thug to get no, I need you to stay out of jail. Right. I need you to provide. Right. But at the same time, I know there's a way you can handle this and you got us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what a wife will want out of everything, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Darian. No, you're good.
No, I was just going to say, the immediacy of his actions. When he got up on the stage, you could hear the roar of laughter. Like, no one was expecting him to get on stage. They didn't know what was going to happen. But
Chris Rock didn't. He was like, uh-oh. He had no idea.
Yeah. Oh, he said, oh, King Richard.
Yes, exactly.
As he's walking up to him, and he's walking. You know what I mean? He's not running at him. Right. He's not already cussing at him. He
was strategic, though.
He's very strategic.
And I walk out of purpose.
Oh, yeah.
No, I walk out of purpose, bro.
Maybe he thought he was just going to talk to him right then and there.
Yeah, he's probably going to say something, and they were just going to roll with it and take it and keep it moving. But no, he did what he did. So, and I read the comment from the lady. She would have done everything in her power to keep her husband. Jada, they weren't connected. She was literally at another table right behind him, but she was still at another table. They weren't like close,
Right.
you know. And there's a couple of things. If you've ever, you know, I've followed Will on a personal level for a while prior to this season of his career, when he was really doing a whole lot of interviews about how he grew up and all this different stuff. And then when he talks about his dad, he talks about the violent outbursts that his dad would do just out of nowhere, you know, especially if you involve alcohol. And this dude is nominated for an Oscar. He's up front. You know what I mean? There's so much, I'm sure, going on through his head and his heart. Not to mention all, like you said, their whole private lives have just been displayed, you know, by their own doing. First of all, that's a whole.
That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole other topic all by itself. But for Chris Rock to consistently pick on Jada, you know, because the way he came at because he came after her in 2016, not them, her, you know, and so here he comes with after her again, and it's like, okay, dude, nope, I can't, we're not going, no, I'm not taking her home looking like this because of you,
right, or hearing the fact, because at certain moments we don't know, right, how our partner is feeling. If I know as couples, sometimes we have those conversations like, I really needed you in this moment to have my back.
Right.
Like, I get it. We've laughed through a lot of pain together. We've laughed at each other. But at this night, after I just kind of reiterated that now I got something going on with my hair again and explain that to the world, not tonight.
Right.
You know, and I think any husband who sees a wife like, I don't want to go home where I got to say why I again, maybe in his head, right? I didn't have your back, right? He couldn't save his mom. So like, and he just played a very heavy role about a father taking care of a wife and a child. So he has, like he was saying in his speech, he has all this going on in his head.
Right.
And now he has a moment where he doesn't know how to plan his reaction to it. And he did the first thing that came to mind, you know, because I was kind of wondering if they knew that Chris Rock was going to nominate, like, should they been prepared? Like, this joker might say something crazy about you tonight. It's like all those things you don't know or expect or come out.
Yeah, but it's like it was a random, just out of pocket, out of the blue. So it's not like I'm going, you know, especially it's like for Jada, again, I point to the fact that Jada, yes, you can talk about the entanglements. There was already a joke done earlier that night about the entanglements, right? So, okay,
it's getting
cool. You hit them with the joke. Cool. Now you just go circle right back around and again hit Jada, because at least the first one was more directed at Will.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So now you're coming at Jada, who, by all accounts, Jada is, I think her last movie was what? Girls Trip?
Correct.
Not an Oscar-worthy movie. It was a funny movie, right?
No, it was The Matrix.
Oh, that's right, The Matrix.
That's right.
Still not an Oscar-worthy movie as far as
definitely not an Oscar-worthy role.
Right. No. So now you're basically, it's like okay. It's like LeBron.
I knew it.
With the third string player on the bench. Why? It's like LeBron getting excited because he dunked over an aging Jeremy Lin or what have you, right? It's like, yeah, just a random name I put.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how this was. It was just pulling something random out that he does it. Now, I also want to point out, did y'all see Lupita?
Yes.
Lupita was like, oh.
She's like, oh, it's about to go down.
Oh,
what just happened? Yeah.
Wakanda forever? No? Okay.
Yes, you did. You're right.
Yeah, there's been many still shots of her face. She's like, oh, yeah.
But she also had it look like, get him. She did shoot that look a couple of times like, yeah, Get him. Get him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all agree that it shouldn't have been handled that way by Will. I mean, one of my friends, we had discussions. We don't know what we would do in that situation. I would hope that a cooler head would prevail, because again, I'm not trying to go to jail, but by no means are we in this conversation that we've had for the past 55 minutes are condoning at all what Will Smith did.
Absolutely.
By no means.
No.
And I don't want anybody
or what Rock did either.
No, somebody said, well, who's the fault? I'm like, both of them. I mean, there is no right person or wrong.
It's a bad situation all around.
It's a bad situation all around. You're exactly right. And so we have to understand that. And I'm going back to what Tarsha's question was, as far as us standing up, and Kevin, you said something that was profound, that it needs to be like for like. Like if somebody said something, I'm going to respond with my words. And that's the way it should be. And I think that's a really good way to keep ourselves accountable. Mm-hmm. But another thing that I've seen online is that, I want my dude to act right then and right now, and I expect him to do it then. If he doesn't, then, he can go find someone else. No, we don't want to put that out there. That's how people end up in jail. That's how families get separated. Right. That's how people lose their careers.
That's manipulation.
You're exactly right. That's not using wisdom. I mean, I think about the time when Amy was in the hospital, well, not in the hospital, we're in an emergency room, and the doctor literally kept over talking her, because we're there for a reason, because she was having some issues. Ashley was right behind me. Pastor Julie was in the doorway, and the dude interrupted Amy for the third time. And Darian doesn't know this, but Kev and Tarsha may know this, that I looked at the doctor. I said, "You keep interrupting my wife. Let her ask the question. You ask the question and let her answer. This will not happen again." And Ashley and Pastor Julie, it was like Homer Simpson in the hedge. They literally backed out the room and backed into the hallway. But I'm like, bro, you're not going to be rude. You're being firm in the wrong way. So guess what? I'm reciprocating that. I'm not that one today.
Yeah.
So it has to be like for like. I didn't get up and walk over and slap the dude in the face and said, "You're going to listen to my wife, and if you don't, that's going to happen again." No, it's got to be like for like. But we've got to make sure that we still keep our family intact. Yes. We still keep our integrity intact. We still keep our legacy intact. We have to do everything to make sure that we don't ruin it for anybody else behind us. I'm talking about my family or anybody else. We have to make sure that we're just not responding in knee-jerk reactions. That's why people get shot over stupid stuff. That's why we're having too many funerals for people that got shot because of a freaking argument. No, we've got to have a better reaction, just saying, I expect them to do something right then and there. And if they don't, then like Darren said, it's manipulation. Then they can go. No, that is not the right way to handle things. Yeah. And it's really upsetting to see so many posts of people saying that that's the way he shouldn't have had. He got to nip it right in the bud right then and there. No, that is not the way. That's not the way it's supposed to work. We're not supposed to work that way.
There's a book I read called Crucial Conversations. And it talks about that a lot of people that are in prison is their first time offense.
Right.
For murder.
Right.
Because they didn't know how to handle conflict with their next door neighbor.
Right.
They didn't know to handle conflict with the guy who cut them off.
Right.
And so the book was trying to say, listen, a lot of first time murderers are in jail, first offense for murder, because they couldn't have a crucial conversation with someone who keeps throwing a branch over their yard or something like that.
Right.
Because we got to be able to say, okay, what now? The incident happened.
Right.
Will has apologized to Academy right there, the Oscars right there. He'd already put out a social post apologizing. He did mention Chris Rock in his social media on his IG. But I would love to see now for Chris Rock and for Will, if that means coming to the red table and sitting down and saying, what happened, dude? What's up with you and my wife? And the same vice versa.
Right.
You know,
I don't know if you saw it. Chris Rock did issue a lengthy apology.
did he?
Oh yeah, it was actually pretty spot on. It was actually pretty good.
Is that one legit? Because there was one that was floating around that his team was like, no, that's not him. Because
I have no idea.
Okay, because there is an apology that's been floating around supposedly from Chris, that Chris Rock's team has been like, no, he ain't say that.
A lengthy was it pretty lengthy?
It was.
Well, this one was Chris taking the blame, saying that he crossed the line.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the ones they're saying that he didn't write?
They're saying he ain't write that one.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
So here's the other thing. Chris Rock's
that's really interesting.
comedy tour sales have gone up because people are expecting him to talk about it.
Yeah,
of course,
and he will.
Well, okay,
I've heard that too.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
So there's, because we're coming close to our time, but there's something else that I read today that was like, I'd have to do more research into it. There's also the speculation that if I'm correct, Will and Jada are involved in the Church of Scientology.
They were.
Okay. And one of the things that I've seen a couple of places that they point out is that there is this almost teaching within the Church of Scientology that if you're shown up or you're insulted or something by someone, that the response is a slap or some other way to assert dominance. So they point to the fact that Tom Cruise, when he's in movies, whatever, his heightened response and really just rudeness is the same outpour of that, and that if they even made the statement that if Will did not respond the way he did in the manner that he was supposed to, that he himself was subject to getting slapped by his superior. Well, back at the Church of Scientology. That's what I'm ready.
They're not now, unless they went back. They left Church of Scientology a number of years ago.
Okay.
Literally wrote him a check for 7 figures to build a school and said, peace.
Okay.
Now, that was then. That was like a number of years ago. Okay. Right. So it's very possible that they may be back in, or they may be, but of course the Church of Scientology in and of itself is also under massive scrutiny right now. It's nowhere near the power base.
It's been under scrutiny for a while. Yeah.
Well, because they keep producing crazy people.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole other subject as well. But yeah. So
all right. So we're gonna, because that's our time.
Yep.
That's our time. So we're gonna wrap it up. Again, this has been, we've said at the beginning that there is no way we could really dig through all of this.
No, this needed to be a 2-hour special.
Part 2.
That's why we had to do a crossover. So for those that are on YouTube and know us as Conversations with the Crawleys, hi.
Hey.
What up, y'all? What up?
But I also have my brothers that I do Chop It Up podcast with. We also have a YouTube channel as well. So seek that out, search that out, find that out, and definitely make sure you're here, because we do these conversations for Chop It Up every Tuesday here on Facebook as well as YouTube. And then Conversations with Crawleys, y'all know we got a lot of other shows coming up. Recaps and conversations we got to have. So we appreciate y'all. Appreciate my brothers for the crossover. And we will see you all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Be blessed, y'all. See y'all on the flip.